like you said, I mean, this course about trying to restore the Muslims' situation, current state of affairs, has been done. I think, since the time of your father in the 70s, even at the level of the OIC. I mean, do you feel that perhaps the mistake is pertaining to how they see what the problem is really, because they have not really understood that the problem is linked to something internal, something to the Muslims' understanding, like you said, the problem corruption.
Definitely.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I don't know why you bring up the OIC, because in reality, I mean, I don't think the OIC also has contributed much to the Muslims.
Okay.
Now, I mean, you notice that I'm talking about Muslims.
Yes.
We're not talking about Islam here.
Okay.
I mean, because Islam doesn't need, it doesn't need defense.
Okay.
Islam is by itself already a perfect and clear and what do you call it, merciful religion, actually.
Yes.
The damage that's being done in the name of Islam is being done by the Muslims.
Right.
Of course, I mean, we can blame the West as well, but the West has always had this program. It's not something new. There is no such thing as Islamophobia. It's all a demonization program, demonization of Islam and the Muslims.
Right.
But it becomes easier today to demonize because of the Muslim behavior, because of the way the Muslims are behaving.
Right.
And therefore, we shouldn't be talking about how to advance Islam. It's not Islam that needs advancing. I mean, it's as if we don't understand the Quran itself when it says, we have perfected your religion for you this day.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, there's no more perfecting or advancing that we can do. Who are we?
Yes. Yes.
The problem is the Muslims themselves. The Muslims have corrupted knowledge.
Yes.
And the Muslim leaders are the ones to blame. And the problem is now that this has become in the realm of politics.
Right.
Politics now has taken over.
Okay.
I mean, in reality, this reminds me of being in the 11th century Europe.
Okay.
I mean, 11th century Europe was a very dark time.
Okay.
There was no vibrant seeking of knowledge at that time in Europe.
Right.
I mean, this only happened hundreds of years later.
Okay.
And even then, they called it a renaissance, as if there was something there to rediscover to begin with. I mean, a renaissance means that, to rediscover.
Yes.
In other words, you are supposing that there is something that you have discovered beforehand, and only now you are rediscovering, when that's not the case.
Right.
Isn't it? So you really can't call it a renaissance, but that's them. In our case, though, I mean, in the 11th century, there was a very vibrant, knowledgeable atmosphere.
Yes.
There were lots of sciences being done. There was lots of discourse being done. There was lots of things going on. Yes. I mean, they were the leaders and the advanced people in terms of knowledge, in terms of law, in terms of politics, in terms of commerce, in terms of anything,
Yes.
in terms of the arts.
Yes.
They were very vibrant, and the European learned from them. I mean, for instance, 11th century, we are talking about Andalusia now. Andalusia was a time, this is Ibn Rushd, the time of Ibn Rushd.
Sure.
A time of all these philosophers, the theologians, all their ideas were milling around at that time.
Right.
And I mean, the European countries, they bordered Andalusia.
Yes.
And yet, how is it that they didn't really get to know much about what was happening in Andalusia? I mean, Peter Abelard was one person at that time who was benefiting from the discourse in the Muslim Andalusia.
Yes.
Peter Abelard was the one who was saying that we should not simply take theological or theology.
Yes.
We should not simply understand it by its, letter, that they should use reason.
Yes.
He started saying we should use reason to understand theology. Oh, this was a great anathema to the church,
Right.
a great affront to them.
Right.
They didn't want that. And therefore they asked, what's his name? Saint Bernard of Assisi, to argue with Peter Abelard. I mean, this is how the control of the church and the control of the politicians at that time, they were the lords of the feudal system.
Yes.
They worked hand in hand to control the population. The more ridiculously ignorant you were, the better for them.
Right.
they were the ones, the church would control what you think, how you think, what books you could read, what books were allowed. In today's terminology, you would say they were the ones who would determine what is haram, what is halal. And we have this problem today.
Yes, yes.
We have this problem with these so-called leaders of the Muslims,
Yes.
the so-called knowledgeable ones, the ones who are heaped on awards and all kind of recognition for what?
Yes, yes,
They're the ones who are saying what is haram, what is halal.
yes.
As far as I know, as far as Islam says as well, what is haram and what is halal is already clear.
Right.
Allah has made that clear in the Quran. What is haram, what is halal, it's clear.
Yes.
The only, the one who can say what is haram and what is halal is only Allah. It is His prerogative.
Yes, yes.
Who are these people then, therefore, today to say this is haram, this is halal? I mean, they are causing great ignorance, and they don't see it because they are so arrogant. And this is the problem. When I was here at IKIM, I used to say this.
Right.
And yet, they are the ones who have done a campaign of exclusion against us because of this.
I see.
I mean, this is true. This is a fact. The campaign of exclusion.
Yes.
Therefore, they think that we don't know anything,
Yes.
that we should be ignored. We are the arrogant ones. Actually, it's not the case.